Welcome in, folks. We're back for another session of our Hard Mode Plus playthrough. We're sitting here next to this poor, busted twin steer in our Jeep, and we're gonna see what we can do here. And I've kind of decided on an order of operations. I'm gonna kind of follow the rest of the series. And that's going to be more or less the standard. You know, most people play following that, which is to do all your scouting and then do your tasks for each map to open them up, because most often the infrastructure projects are tasks. And then once I've opened all the maps and done all the tasks, I'll get started on the contracts. At least that's kind of the plan going forward. And I definitely want to make sure I get, the upgrades and the vehicle recoveries and stuff out of the way. So we're going to scout this map the rest of the way out. Probably move on to Drummond Island, too. I haven't decided. Having a nice, lazy Sunday morning here. Kind of kicked back. But I want these trucks. I want this. I want the P16. I want the White Western. So we're gonna work on that. We need to find a repair trailer, because in order to recover the twin steer, we need to repair the twin steer, and that's gonna be kind of a pain, because we've got the truck here, but with just the Jeep, it's gonna be pretty hard to drag a full-size repair trailer over here. And we don't really have the money to purchase a scout repair trailer, a scout service trailer, so we'll see what we run into here. I think the first thing I'm going to go for, though, is this upgrade back in here, if I can manage that. I have not actually scouted this map very much myself, so I have no idea what upgrade that is. The most recent playthrough of this map we did, one of my co-op players did all that, so yeah, off to a great start. I suppose being stuck in mud is better than being upside down on the roof. Let's see if we can try and stay to the high ground here. Maybe. This particular map is so very boggy, but it looks like there is a path to success here. Oh, looks can be deceiving. Oh, not that one. I wish Quick Winch wasn't so useless. It literally always goes to the thing you didn't want, or the weakest thing it can find, which not super useful if you're stuck in a hole. A little bit less of a problem for scouts, but an absolute terror when you're trying to winch out a truck of meaningful weight. There we go. What'd we get? A new engine for this truck, so something virtually useless. In most cases, I don't find it all that helpful to swap out Scout engines. Their power to weight ratio really isn't that important, as long as it's adequate to move the truck itself, unless you're going to be doing a lot of towing with it. I mean, maybe for the Lodestar it makes sense, but something like this where I'm literally just using it to scout around and it only matters that it can move its own rear end, it usually just leads to higher fuel burn, and that's decidedly a negative attribute for a scout, so I don't usually bother switching them. Oh, look at that. That's the way I should have went. I fell into the trap somewhere. So let's see. what we can manage. This map is a hot map. We hit that watchtower, so it doesn't make a ton of sense to keep going that way. And the access point for Drummond Island is way up here in the corner. So let's kind of work our way that direction, slowly but surely. And with any luck, we'll run into that service trailer we need. I seem to remember an awful lot of trouble making our way that direction previously. Some of that was dragging that fuel trailer, though. That certainly made it more difficult. Speaking of, let's go ahead and top up the Jeep here. And I've given it some thought. I don't know if I want to keep the Jeep or not. I'm not going to sell it, but I don't know that I want to use it as my primary scout either. I haven't quite made up my mind yet. I think what'll probably happen, though, is that I'll probably recover the Chevy 1500 in Smithville, and that will more than likely become the primary scout until I can get a Lodestar or a Ford F-750. We'll see. But this just doesn't carry a lot of repair parts. It's got a short, narrow wheelbase, which actually I do like. I actually prefer the short, narrow Scouts. Man, I screwed that up, didn't I? Should have stayed next to the trees, and I'd be over here on dry land. There we go. This whole map really is just a mud bog. I mean, it's swamp as far as the eye can see. No wonder those drilling platforms didn't make it. There's a watchtower further down the road. I guess we're gonna have to... I think this is a log camp. I see a truck there. I might be thinking of a different map, but I thought there might be a Scout 800 on one of these maps. Other than the one in Black River. I might be thinking of Alaska. There might be another. Okay, that's a 1500. What's this? That's a drag a scout out of the water mission, it looks like. We're not going to be able to do that with the Jeep, so I'm not even going to bother entertaining that right now. It's having enough trouble pulling its own butt through this mud. So let's go up the road here and get this scout tower and see what treasures it reveals. I really hesitate to stop and even look at the map on here, because the minute you stop moving on this map, you start sinking. It's going to make the logging contracts here fun. The last time I did logs on this map, I think I was in the big cat crawler. Those gigantic balloon tires, which makes that a much easier task in all this mud with debris and stuff. But, this time we'll have to be doing it in a truck. I screwed up again. I'm not near any trees. I'm so used to having another truck available to pull myself out of these situations. I'm really going to have to be more careful. I've been playing quite a bit in single player on another save, and a whole bunch in multiplayer, so I get in the right headspace to do this. And I am thinking about disabling the Jack of all trades tires DLC. We're going to have to get back. I want to make sure I take them off of the trucks they're on. And it's not even that, like, I don't feel like it's cheating to have it, because it does give you, it skips some rank unlocking, for sure. But I'm kind of irritated that it seems like it gives, I feel like there's too wide a margin on the rank unlock skipping there. Like, if it gave me, you know, like, one off-road tire this early, I'd be okay with that, but I can get mud tires right now, and that's just wrong. So I think we're going to swap the tires on the GMC and the Fleet Star. And once I know there's no active use of that DLC, I'm going to disable it. So I don't really need it on my other game saves anyways. And I feel like it's taking something away from this save. We haven't found our trailer yet. I'm kind of worried about going through here, but it's really no better than going up this way, I don't think. So I guess we will press on. I assume there's an intersection right here. I don't remember. But let's carry on. My wayward sons. Let's see what we find. But yeah, that's the late news. I obviously haven't done it yet. I didn't want to just be skipping around, moving trucks off camera. But we'll be back doing work with those trucks soon enough. And I may not do all of the scouting today. I may swap and run a few tasks up in Black River. I may even bring a truck down onto Smithfield and start opening up some roads there. Because honestly, I've already spent a little time scouting this morning in my own playthrough, my you know, just for me doing whatever I want playthrough. So I don't know how long the scouting is going to hold my attention. But we are going to record a couple episodes this morning. I need to get a couple in the bank, so I don't have to worry too much about them. This week's not terrible, but the next week is going to be a busy week for me. I have a birthday coming up, so at some point I have to make some time to go over to the BMV and let them steal my money to drive the truck I already paid for on the roads I was already taxed for. And we've also got a fairly busy week at work coming up. We've got route inspections coming, so we're all going to be busy. So I'd really like to just have, you know, 3 or 4 episodes already uploaded, ready to go, scheduled to release. That way I can just spend my off time playing for the sake of the enjoyment. Not that I don't enjoy doing these, I absolutely do. But there is a stress factor, right? You gotta make sure you got everything set up. You gotta have a quiet environment, sort of, kinda. Depending on your microphone and setup, I can get away with quite a bit of background noise. Because I have a fairly directional mic. But there are additional factors to it rather than just playing the game. I didn't even realize there was a little mountain ridge down here. How about that? I might have scouted this once. I felt like I had played quite a bit of Snowrunner prior to getting back into it here recently, and the more I play, the more I realize I really just played quite a bit of Black River and a little bit of Smithville Dam and a tiny bit of Drummond. Like, I had no idea the Twin Steer was down here the last time I was playing on my own. Which is probably good, because I would have been all excited and then really aggravated when I got it and found out that it didn't have all-wheel drive and discovered what a royal pain it is to drive in reality. And that's not even really fair. It's not that big of a pain. I use it a fair bit here and there. I do like it. I would honestly like it better, I think, if it were a 3-slot truck. Or if there were a 3-slot version. It's just so long. It's It's kind of hard to contend with sometimes. There's a trailer. That's a fuel carrier. Not the trailer I'm looking for. These are not the droids I'm looking for. Need to keep this map. This is the orientation I should be keeping the map in. I think. Where is Island Lake? So Smithfield should be at the top. I see, though. Even the way those regions are laid out, it doesn't make sense to have it oriented. But this is kind of the one I'm used to. Because I'm used to Drummond being over here on the left of the map. Well, the more I look around here, the more hope I lose. I think in order to repair this truck, we are just going to have to come down here with a medium truck to accomplish that. Because we've kind of moved past the realm of it being somewhere reasonable that I could drag a full-size trailer to with the Jeep. Let's come down here and try and get this watchtower, and then we'll have that whole side done. I believe that takes us through a lumber camp there. Was I going forwards or backwards? Forwards it is. I am purposefully waiting here. I haven't seen any comments so far about the possibility of traveling to other regions. I'm really not too pressed about it. To some degree, it will certainly make this a lot easier. If I go get the Royal in particular, or the Taiga, I know where that is now. That was recently discovered in our group play. And that is decidedly a more capable truck than many of the ones. Oh, I wanted to check something because I hadn't had downloaded the free DLC that is the CAT 681 and the international truck. And when I downloaded it, my other save game has it available in the garage, which was unintentional, and I'm wondering if it's now available in this garage as well. So let's take a gander. If it is, I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, it doesn't appear so. I assume they're available to buy. What are those, off-roads? No. Oh, yeah, because there's only so many available per garage. I forgot about that. I'm glad to see that the CAT is in here. Honestly, though, I don't know what trucks I would buy, even if I had the money. Yeah, so I know where to locate that now, and I could do it. I know where to find the Royal. That thing is an absolute off-road menace. So this garage doesn't seem to have those trucks. Let's check Smithfield. I didn't think to check when we were there last. What the random 5 to 15 trucks were selected for it. Seems like we got 7 or 8 there. So we can buy the Wrangler, which I'm not super thrilled about. It is the better of the two Jeeps. I really got the Lemon. They got the Cat, the Zix, which I don't have the DLC for. I wish it would have selected 5 to 10 base game trucks. Okay, it does have the CT681. I do like that truck. I may be convinced to earn enough to buy that truck, and if I did, I would use it pretty heavily. I like the Paystar 5070 too. I've run it a bit here and there. Well, that answers that question, I guess. I'm not sure why they were just available in the other one. Like they were just sitting in truck storage. Very strange. Minor mystery solved. And I actually want to make some adjustments here. It's still too loud to me. At least when driving the Jeep. I'm going to bring these down another 10. We'll bring that down to an even 50. Let's try that on for size. Just the sound of this particular Scout, for whatever reason, is grating on me. And it's weird, because it's actually a pretty similar sound to what the Scout 800 is. And I like it well enough, so... hard to tell. I suppose I will keep the Jeep. I don't really plan on selling it. It's not going to gain me much. We can sell, but at 10%, which is practically worthless. So I'll get, what is that? $200? $2,100? Yeah, $2,100 if I sell this, give or take. So not really worth it. And it's always nice to have extra Scouts, you know. We could, keep this for crawl-in or narrow spaces or something. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to go this way as planned because the bridge is out and there's no way I'm going to get the Jeep to crawl through any of this mess. So I don't think we'll be getting that watchtower. And this isn't really a viable way to take a big truck. We need to open up Drummond Island. We're going to take a break from scouting, sort of. We're going to go find the Drummond Gateway and get ourselves onto Drummond. And I think we're going to start opening roads, because we're at the point where that is going to make everything else much easier. No reason to struggle unnecessarily. I'm going to assume that bridge is still good, so let's try going that way. So we need to make our way over here. That's our gateway. Drummond itself is not in terrible shape. I think there's only 2 or 3 bridges that need built. Maybe a rock slide, I can't recall exactly. But we'll get some haulage done today. And the more I play in multiplayer, the more I've come to love using tractor trailers instead of hitch trailers. Now, why did we... oh, because I couldn't get to that waypoint. I gotcha. Yeah, for most of my Snowrunner career, have used, you know, the good old-fashioned crane in bed and drag-along trailer combo, which does give you 4 slots of cargo, 2 and 2. And in early game, it's not super important, at least not in Michigan, to be able to haul more than 2 slots at a time. There's a couple missions, but for the most part, you can accomplish everything with that combination. But I'm rapidly learning that it's much easier and more effective to haul a low saddle flatbed trailer. It keeps your weight, you know, even when you've got 4 or 5 slots on the trailer, you've got all that weight is actually loaded on your truck because of the trailer attachment. Whereas if you're doing the hitch trailer pull, the weight you load on your truck bed is loaded onto your trailers, but the rest of it's dead weight you're dragging because it's a trailer and it's behind the drive wheels, and physics are a thing. Which is the way, of course, that works in real life. But it is pretty well modeled in Snowrunner. And I've just found it's much easier to drag a semi-trailer and have your cargo contributing to your traction rather than detracting from it. So I think we're going to do that. I'm also going to try to make more use of the GMC. Well, not at the moment, because it's got a fuel tanker on it, but if I'd thought ahead before, I certainly would have considered using it to pull a flatbed trailer around, which we did do a little bit of. We did that for the farm delivery, right? I can't see the forest for the trees here. Once we have the White Western, that'll probably be our main truck for most of what we do here in Michigan. It takes a lot of the same upgrades as the Fleet Star, so having those unlocked for the Fleet Star will make it more effective. And it's a little lower, a little wider. It seems to be much more stable, and I like the sound better. Alrighty. Looks like we should just be able to continue on here. Yeah, that'll work. And head this way. And I know I'm passing a lot of scouting opportunity here, but I'm kind of done scouting for the day, if I'm being totally honest. I do want to get to some hauling, and we have no shortage of road openings to do. So we're just kind of going to head for Drummond. Not to unlock Drummond, because we're not quite there yet. We'll probably get the Jeep to Drummond, and then swap over to hauling back on Black River. Try and knock out the rest of the road closures and start working on Smithville. Smithville, as I remember, I think it's a pretty quick and easy opening. Because if I remember correctly, there's really just like 2 bridges, or maybe a bridge and 2 rock slides. There's not a ton of work to do in terms of opening up the map there. And then we'll be able to get access to Drummond. With luck, maybe we'll get us a glance at or a cruise around in the P16 today. Oh, that was such a trap. Honestly, we haven't been doing too bad here on this leg of the journey with all-wheel drive off. Just kind of been cruising it in stock and getting by pretty well. These Jeep tires actually do a respectable job. Even if they're on one of the worst scouts you can have. I probably shouldn't insult it while I'm relying on it. I should probably wait till I replaced it for that. It's liable to be temperamental. I don't know why I'm placing waypoints. It's not like this road's going anywhere. It's pretty straightforward. I guess I could just follow the dirt track in the wilderness here and see where I land. Really only need to check when I reach an intersection, which for the most part are obvious enough. I shouldn't miss any. But then you run into stuff like this and you wonder if that's meant to be a road somewhere. It's not. Snowrunner's weird like that. You know, you look at something like that and from one angle you're like, oh, there's no way that's a road. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, well, maybe. Kind of looks like a track. Nature of the beast, I suppose. This is a pretty map. I wish I'd spent more time on it previously. When you're not, you know, lost down in the bog on the other end of the map, this side of it's actually quite pretty. Got all these nice trees and bushes, lots of color. Over here where you get a little more verticality with the terrain. Sure beats being stuck down there in the waterlogged flatlands. We could go for that, but I don't. It's kind of wasting time from our actual goal. Would like to start making some money. And honestly, I think as a passive goal, not knowing what's available in... Well, no. I was going to say we could work towards the Cat 681, because it's a pretty good all-around truck, and this early it would be quite a powerhouse, I think, here in Michigan. But we've actually got plenty capable trucks waiting in the wings for us. You know, the White Western Star is quite a bit of truck, especially here on Michigan. So there's, oh, we're on the correct road already. How about that? It's quite a bit of truck. I don't need to be looking at buying one, I don't think. In fact, the first truck we purchase will probably be the Lodestar, if we can find one. Having that 5 to 10 per garage rule is going to make it interesting. Because we now know that I can't buy the Lodestar in Michigan. Neither one of the garages had it available. And it will cost me to move regions. Although I don't think it would cost me to go look. We'll test that here in a second. Yeah, it doesn't cost me to move to the garage. It's only going to cost me to move vehicles. I also like this International, but 172,000 for something that's roughly not any more capable than the Cat 681 seems kind of silly. It does have the advantage of not having a tag axle, which is helpful in certain circumstances. Yeah. So, at least in this garage, the Lodestar is not available. It could be on the White Valley garage, but we're not there yet. Let's check Tamir. Which, really, until Alaska, the Lodestar is not going to be super useful anyways. You have to get all the upgrades in Alaska. Good to know the Ank civilians there. I do like that truck. If I owned that DLC, I would like that truck, I'm sure. Yeah, the problem I'm seeing with this rule set right now is that it contains a lot of DLC trucks I haven't bought yet. Which is mildly annoying. I wish it took that into account. Let's try cola. Oh wow, slim pickings in Russia, baby. I can't buy a single one of those. Oh yeah, I can. I can buy the con. That's absolutely worthless. Quebec. This is a map I've spent absolutely no time on. I've never played Quebec. This will be my first visit to this garage. And I'm only going to look at the sales catalog. Isn't that a shame? I do kind of want to unlock these Earth Rumors. Those look like a lot of fun. Yeah, another case of literally all these trucks are locked. So I guess we'll be relying on the secondary garages in Alaska and Tamir. I'm not sure if Imandra has a garage. I haven't gotten that far. I mean, I've played a little bit on the lake, and it's a humongous map. I assume Imandra is about the same size. And I assume there's a second garage in Tamir. Okay, so we've gotten to Drummond Island. Trying to remember where the P16 is. And with this little of the map revealed, it's kind of difficult. I think it's in this corner. And you know what? We can work our way over there. Just trying to think real quick if that actually gains us anything. And I think it kind of does. Let's go back. Let's open up the roads in Smithville. I apologize. I'm a little squirrely this morning. And that's just going to be the way of things for a minute here. This is the problem with super early games. You've got a lot of things to unlock, and so many of them are exceptionally useful. By the time you clear Michigan, you know, you've at least got enough things that you're capable of doing most of what you want to do, and you don't need to actually hunt down additional resources. You know, I mean, and technically, we've got the Fleet Star. It's a good all-wheel drive truck with diff lock. It's got, you know, a decent power-to-weight ratio. For the most part, we could complete this entire map with a Scout and the Fleet Star. Or maybe 2 Scouts and the Fleet Star to be safe. But, some of the missions are nigh on impossible. You know, dragging out the Kodiak, we're going to need the P16 for that. Or at least I will. Maybe there's somebody out there with a better skill and a better execution of how to do that and can do it with something like a Fleet Star, but that person is not me. I very much rely on the big heavy brute force of that truck on occasion. But once we've unlocked all those, you know, when we get to Alaska, it's just a matter of slapping chains on a truck or two and getting to work. So, unfortunately, I'm going to be a little scatterbrained until we've got most of Michigan kind of taken care of. And then after that, it's really more a case of picking a task and going to work on it. Right now, we're going to go back, we're going to slap a saddle on this guy, and we're going to get to work. I believe the flatbed trailer is sitting down here at the farm. We'll take a gander as we drive by there. And I do know I'm not being terribly efficient. I won't ever be very efficient, just for the record. I know a lot of people like to stack up their mission cargoes and never run anywhere empty. I don't really mind it. As I've said before, there is just oodles and oodles of fuel. So it really isn't any skin off my back to run empty back to the garage here. I probably could have found something headed towards the farm, or something I needed down this way. Yeah, the flatbed's sitting at the farm, so we just need the saddle trailer. And you know, in addition to those saddle trailers loading the truck with traction instead of taking it off, they're also a hell of a lot easier to turn around. You know, you can pretty effectively jackknife those and get a nice small turning radius out of them, whereas the hitch trailers with that dolly front on them are just silly. You almost have to find a 40-acre field and just take a nice big circle. I should probably repair off this trailer while I'm here. That's something that's going to make recovering the white and the twin steer a little bit more difficult even than normal. Because we're running the double repair rules. Yeah, see, we've almost emptied this trailer. And that was just repairing the Fleet Star and 1 or 2 repairs on it. You know, like everyday use kind of repairs. So just acquiring those 2 trucks in the first place is going to be an expensive endeavor. Let's see. So we are running the next up engine. Let's see if we've found any other upgrades. We have found the race suspension. We're going to get rid of these tires, we decided. Yeah. Because I do want to get the Jack of all trades tires off. So what's the best I can do in base game tires? Highway tires. That's depressing. Well, on the bright side, we're not that far from unlocking at least the all-terrain tires. Oh, you know what? I don't even have the money to do that right now. It kind of breaks my heart a little. I guess I could sell the flatbed. I mean, these are all 100% returns, so it's no great love lost. If we have to buy it back later, it'll cost the same. We'll sell those back. So on the bright side, since this is going to kind of limit my tires back to where they should have been to begin with, probably, we are going to have some more money in the bank than we thought. So that's nice. It looks like a high saddle, but I'm certain I selected low. Now, you may remember, the first time we were here, I was going to sell that trailer, and the trailer store wasn't here. And I griped then about the bug where the random trailer store per region is not persistent. And I said I was going to give it a fair shot and see if it turned out to be that way, because I thought maybe part of that was because I was running the other save across co-op and single-player loadings. And this has only ever been loaded as a single player. And now we suddenly have a trailer store here that we can sell for more money than I thought, honestly. Nah, I don't think we got 3,800 out of that. I think it was just listing the base price. But that kind of answers that question. I think I will probably go in and edit that rule set and just make all the trailer stores available again, because it's not working the way I intended it. Maybe that's the way they, the game developer intended it to work, random on each load-in, but it makes it really hard to plan, and also mildly annoying, because sometimes you just get in your head, oh, I need a trailer, and you, especially if you're recording or streaming, you take off in that direction expecting there to be a trailer store there, and then find that it's not there. So, as much as it would have been a fun challenge, I don't think it's going to work out the way I wanted it to, so I'm probably going to change that setting. I'm glad to see that despite going back to a highway tire, we're not doing terrible here. And having the weight on the truck will certainly help with that. And we're going to unlock some off-roads here in the pretty near future anyways, so I think we'll be okay. I admit, in New Game Plus, I almost always start myself off at rank 10, so I've got some tires available, and I'm a little bit spoiled in that regard, so being forced to run highway tires for a bit, that's probably good for me. Alright. We've collected our working truck. We've collected our working trailer. Let's see what road opening still needs done. There is... No, we got... No? Is there a rock slide up here? I don't think so. Because it would show on the map. We knocked this one out. That was the hilarity down there in that hole from episode 2. And we opened this one. So no, we're done opening roads on Black River. Sweet. I guess that means we are opening roads on Smithville. And I know one of those roads on Smithville is going to require wood planks. So we are going to load 2 wood planks on this trailer and head for that direction. I believe the other one is going to be two spare service parts. So that'll be 4 out of our 5 slots. And we will be on our way. I believe I can get service parts in Smithville. I suppose it would behoove me to look first. Except I didn't look, so I can't remember what I can buy up here. There's a rock slide over here that's going to need the service parts, and there's a wooden bridge down here that's going to need the planks. So I guess we'll learn when we get there. If we have to come back here... And I think... Am I running the hard mode map markers? I can't recall. Apparently not, because I can look here. Okay, so I can get storage parts back at the warehouse. That's not ideal. I'm glad they're there. Glad they're available. But that warehouse is kind of a pain to get to, in my opinion. I guess it depends how you go. If you go up the road we opened up and kind of cut over through the mountain pass, it's not so bad. If you try to take the road here in front of the garage, you run into that absolute quagmire of a mud pit. And I have little to no interest in doing that. See, this is where we're going to struggle with these highway tires, because at the moment, although the trailer is adding a little bit of weight loading up our rear truck tires, it's also the weight of the trailer has to be drugged. But we'll manage. I've actually not drug around a semi-trailer like this with the Fleet Star. I kind of started doing that in our multiplayer game with the Royal and fell in love with it. I did quite a bit of cargo running around with the 3-slot trailer that has the fuel and maintenance parts on the front of the tongue. And that was a lot of fun. It's shorter than this trailer, not a lot, but it does make it easier to turn around. I don't know that it's worth it, though. I guess it depends on how deep into the wilderness you plan on going with it. Personally, most of the time, I think you're probably better off with this trailer. I did also try the stepped flatbed that has the drop-down deck and the tongue that rides up on the 5th wheel. And I craned a Scout fuel trailer up there, so I had quite a bit of range with that setup. But it's so low, it drags belly. I mean, the deck of the trailer is about where the bottom of these rails is. So maybe you don't gain a lot. Oh, where am I going? I'm supposed to be going to the lumberyard. Not that way. This way. It is kind of funny to see the landing gear cranked all the way up like that. I know a lot of times I see trucks rolling down the road and they don't always have their landing gear all the way up. They're usually up plenty high enough to be safe, but... And, you know, that's understandable. If you've ever watched a guy crank landing gear on a semi-trailer, it takes a minute to go full travel down. This way. I'm honestly surprised more trailer landing gear isn't power operated. They've got like the air operated tandem slides now that are pretty popular. I can't imagine it would be that hard to find a way to, you know, set up a pneumatic system that would operate the landing gear up and down. And I say that with the full understanding that when you mechanically complicate something simple, you decrease its reliability by a wide margin. It's pretty hard to screw up something that's got nice big geared teeth in it and, you know, Armstrong rotation power behind it. But at the same time, especially for just traveling the gear when it's not under load, maybe a setup where you hand crank it until you're not touching pavement and the full weight of the trailer is on your tractor, and then you know, hit a button and let the air system handle the rest of it. I'm sure a lot of drivers would appreciate that. Who knows? I know just enough about that industry as a whole to be dangerous, not enough to really make a good assessment, if I'm being completely honest with myself. Alright, let's get some lumber. We are not going to be auto-loading it. It is far too expensive. See if I can get these on the trailer without having my usual fight with the crane. So far, so good. I'm not sure if the packed cargo will automatically move these to the closest slots, which is what I would like. I want this weight to be over the drive tires as much as possible. Or if it's going to like sequentially stack them. So let's find out. It appears it loads them where they are. Of course, it could also be loading them sequentially from the front of the trailer instead of the back. I guess we'll never know. At least not now. Well, we could find out when I get the service parts, which I should be able to get in Smithville, I think. We'll put those on the very back of the trailer. And if it loads those two back there and leaves a gap in the middle, then it's safe to assume it will load them in the nearest available slot to where they are physically positioned. Which could be useful at some point, I'm sure, for, you know, loading a trailer in a specific fashion if needed. I really should not run all-wheel drive as much as I do in this truck. It's more fuel efficient if you're stuck to go to low and diff lock if you can manage that way. And then really just use all-wheel if you're stuck. We do seem to be doing quite well now. We're up out of the mud. The GMC tanker is going to be important on Smithville. There's not a ton of fuel available over there. And I do want to buy as little fuel as possible from a gas station. And I realize that's a little exploity to steal the mission fuel. But it's not something that's been taken out of the game. You know, they could certainly go back in and say, no, the mission trailers have to be 90% full. You can use 10% of the fuel in them. But they clearly haven't done that, so it's an exploit in one sense, but I would also argue that the developers are clearly okay with it or intended you to use that fuel. Otherwise, I feel pretty strongly they would have removed it from the game in some fashion. So I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I really should have unlocked another Scout before I took off into the Wild Blue yonder, though. It's not really worth it to try and get this truck or the GMC up to where the Scout 800 is. It's pretty way back in there. And at least for the moment, if we, lose the Wrangler for some reason, get it really stuck somewhere, not just a winch availability issue, we're kind of boned on that front. I think there's another scout I can find. I know there's the Chevy pickup, but we have to repair that. I'm trying to remember if there's another running scout available or if I'm thinking of one on Alaska, which is, both things are possible. So I suppose the moral of the story here is don't screw up with the Jeep. I will say, as nice as it is to have those Jeep-specific tires, and they do seem to do a really good job, I think one of the first priorities I'm going to have is to switch to the Scout 800. Or more likely the Chevy, once we've recovered it over here on Smithville, because we need to carry twice as many repair points as normal. They're half as effective as they are by default. And of the Scouts I have available right now, the Chevy pickup is actually the most part dense. At least once you've unlocked all the various racks and add-ons. And that's going to be important later for repairing big trucks. It's trucks like the White, I mean, it's as hard as it's going to be to get parts down to the west to the Twin Steer, it's probably going to be harder to get them to the White, because it is really in a tough spot. It's a bear to drag out of where it's at. It's a bear to get down there. If you put a van body add-on on a truck, you're top heavy and tippy, and honestly, we might try for the maintenance frame. It's a little lower, so it's a little more stable, but it doesn't carry as many parts. But it does carry fuel, and we're going to need parts and fuel. So our first stop is going to be up towards the garage here. And I'm going to hope against all hope that I can buy spare service parts up there. And I'm fairly certain I can. We may... No, we're not may. We are. We're going to disconnect from this trailer at the top of this hill. And we're going to go check that rock slide and make sure that it just takes spare service parts. Because I would hate to load them up and then find I also need a steel beam or something. Or metal beams, I guess. Although you can get to Island Lakes from here, practically speaking, the only way to reliably get via road across this map is through Drummond. Or through the highways on this map, which is quite a drive if we're being honest. But there's a lot of cargo, it doesn't make sense to take it any other way. You saw the trip we went through down to Island Lakes, going down the side of the map there, and it's really not meant for a truck with a load. Rock on. What do we need for rock on? Just the spare service parts. Outstanding. I thought that was the case, but it was worth checking. So let's grab our trailer, go grab our service parts. Assuming they are available over here. I need to slow it down there, Sparky. I'm driving like the repair bill ain't no thing. And that will not serve me well in this game save. I will say the one disadvantage to running the semi-trailers is that if you're loading anything but the front couple slots, depending on your own preference for the realism, Now, I could certainly crane some service parts up on top of these wood planks and just pack them, and they'll go where they're supposed to go. But if you want to load them kind of, sort of realistically, you have to detach from the trailer, at least if you're using this setup. I guess the alternative would be to park a crane at your loading point and use a crane that's not attached to your tractor. I guess if I were doing multiplayer, that would be okay. I probably will do that for some of these missions. As we get into the more cargo-heavy missions, I might just park a truck with a crane somewhere, like up here, or a port where you're going to be making a lot of pickups. That does make good sense. But at this particular stage of the game, and a lot of the time, it's going to be more worthwhile my time just to disconnect from the trailer. So let's go ahead and test our theory, since we've got to load this up. And let's try and get these spare service parts into the back 2 slots of the trailer here. And if that works, I am going to assume that cargo packs into the nearest available slot based on location. Yeah, that wasn't quite on the trailer, was it? I am really enjoying this playthrough, though. As much as I'm enjoying the multiplayer game, kind of having to puzzle through and do everything myself is also enjoyable, in a different way. I certainly have a good time hanging out with the fellows doing the multiplayer. Learn a few tips and tricks, and naturally we get into more shenanigans, and it's wonderful having somebody you can call and go, can you bring a crane? Which we do a fair amount of. You know, we were having a night last night, and I think everybody rolled their truck and lost their cargo at least twice. I rolled my Scout probably the better part of 60 times, all said and done. And I wish that were an exaggeration. I mean, it was probably 10 instances of it, but at least one of those I rolled all the way down a hill. Oh yeah, we ought to pack that cargo, huh? Got to yapping and completely forgot. Okay, it did leave a gap, so I guess it will pack into the nearest slot. That's good to know. Alright. Off to open some roads. And the nighttime, she is upon us. Kind of wishing I had a Scout right now, because I don't remember if there's a second bridge or rock slide further down or up the mountain, I guess. And I'm kind of feeling like there is. I feel like there's a wooden bridge that has to be built. And if I drive down there in this truck, burning a bunch of fuel, and bump into something blocked, I'm going to be a teensy bit salty about that. But I don't have a Scout to take down there. Really should have thought about it. There's rank 5. That means we're one rank away from decent tires, which is needs to be a thing. And I am kind of doing this from memory. For anybody needing to see, that's kind of what we've done on the map so far. The farm's going to be over here. There's an upgrade up here. There's a couple of missions way back here in the middle of nowhere. Including a drilling site over there that's an absolute bear to get in and out of. But we're going to run this main central road, runs down to the dam, and then cuts across, and then you start winding through the mountain. It's quite a drive. We are going to just below the dam to build us a wooden bridge down there. And there's 2 trucks we can have on this map. 3, because we can repair and get the Scout 1500 that we found on our way headed down to the island lakes, that is. There's the White Western Star, which is a semi kind of, well, it's not a semi, but it's a medium tractor, you know, similar to this one. Buried up to its absolute eyelids in mud. And then there is a Ford Transtar highway truck, a cab over highway, that is lost down in the swamp. And we are going to collect all trucks and put them to use where possible. The Transtar is actually not as worthless as it sounds. I was using it in Alaska. I hauled a big drill trailer with it. It's one of those gigantic mission cargo trailers. So it's, you know, it's good size. But most of the trip was highway. And it made for a good opportunity to try it out. So I threw some chain tires on it, gave it a high saddle, and it actually worked out really well. It handled pulling the trailer just fine, and honestly, those trailers are so long. Having a snub-nosed cab over to haul it with, and the better turning radius that it has over something like the P16 actually probably made the job a lot easier. So I wasn't mad about it at all. Let's see if we can get some cargo delivered here. Starting to bank some money. I like it. Now, I want to press on, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure if there's another road blockage that has to be solved, so I think we're going to drop the trailer and go scout it out. The white is right down in here somewhere. Trying to think of where. Or no, sorry, it's over here. Right in there, because, isn't it? Am I looking at this wrong? I am looking at this wrong. That road. You go down that road. Cross across. So yeah, it's right in here somewhere. But we're not even going to bother going to find it right this minute, because there's not a chance. Is there a chance? What if there's a chance? No. With these tires, there's no chance. That's the answer. If we had some off-road tires, we could probably actually pull it out of there with this. I don't know about getting it up on the road and back to somewhere to repair. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. It'll certainly be easier to pull it out with this than the P16. Getting the P16 down there is kind of a bear. And we'll, of course, grab any task we're passing by. Just saves a bunch of running around later to collect them. Actually, it doesn't, because all the obvious ones are easy enough to activate anyways. It's the ones that are kind of off the beaten trail that you end up having to chase down anyways. This map does have one location I really like, and that is the quarry. I don't know that we'll uncover the map driving this way enough to actually see the quarry. But it's down over the hill here, a little further up the road. Yeah, there it is. We might be able to see a little bit of it. It's a good challenging pickup point, because you kind of have to work your way down. Of course, all the pickups are in the center of the quarry pit. Yeah, there you go. You kind of get a view of it back there. Yeah, so you have to really work your way down the spiral and make your pickups and then drag yourself back out without any ill consequences, if possible. I really wish I could remember if there was another blockage on this road. And I just can't. I'm just not sure. It's a long road to drive. I hate to come down here and waste a bunch of fuel, but I should have thought about that before I stranded my only scout on the inaccessible side of Drummond Island, with considerable distance to travel to get it back somewhere useful. It's actually probably faster to unlock all these roads and give it a path to use than it would be to just try and gun our way back through all that mess we went through. Plus, doing it this way has other advantages, right? We open the road up, which will make getting the P16 out so much easier. And getting repair parts down to the twin steer, all that much better. See, that leads me to believe that there's a rock slide ahead. So I'm going to grab them. Because we're on road. The traction of drone, the hit to our traction by dragging that trailer is not going to be super important up through here. I say as I have to kick all-wheel drive on for the first time in a hot minute. But most of this road is paved, so I'm not going to worry a ton. I was thinking it might be a bridge, but honestly, on a mountain road, a rock slide makes a lot more sense. And there's a shortcut through here somewhere. I think I've already passed it. Where is that? Right there. So if you're making this drive, and you have to make it empty or, with a fairly capable truck, this shortcut right here cuts out all this switchback turning down here. I won't say it's super easy, but it's not like a super hard shortcut either. I mean, honestly, I've taken the white up through there, the white Western Star. I'm sure the Fleet Star would make it also. Even dragging a flatbed trailer with parts on it. Or cargo, I guess. But I didn't think of it. I was checking the road. Partly because I couldn't remember if there's another blockage. And it certainly makes more sense to run the main road and try to find it than it does to take the shortcut and then realize later when you're in a truck or a position where you can't use the shortcut that, now you have to stop and go get a different truck and try to, clear the blockage. And that, I believe right there is where that shortcut comes up. Now I'm going to laugh if I get on down here and there's no blockage. Typically, though, when they give you a cargo, it's because it has a use. At least a cargo and a trailer like that. Looked pretty rock slidey, but there wasn't one. It's going to be hysterical if I'm completely wrong and there is no blockage. Okay, this is the bridge I was worried about. So we don't have to build it. It is here already. Whoa! Come on. Come on, baby. I'm really mad that the quick winch grabbed the trailer. Do I dare try it? that didn't work. Well, it wouldn't be an episode if I didn't flip a track, right? Luckily, we're in a position I can get to this with the GMC. Unluckily, it's going to be a hell of a drive. I'm not even sure how that happened. It's not super uneven here. Yeah, well, no sense crying over spilt milk. Oh, we did unlock the Chevy, I guess. I didn't think about that. It needs some repair work. And the gearbox slips out. And it's burning more fuel than normal because the engine's damaged. And we'll probably come get that on a rollback. Oh, dear me. Well, here's to hoping I don't pull an episode 2. And also flip the GMC. Which, with a fuel tanker, is likelier than I would really care to admit. But it is our only option. We still don't have a third big truck. And we know the Jeep's not going to flip that thing. And I doubt the Chevy would. Headlights are good. We should use those. Well, I was hoping to make our way onto Drummond Island and at least see what our next repair was going to be, but I think the remainder of the episode's probably going to be rescuing this truck. We've got 10 or 15 minutes left in the day here, and I don't know that we can drive down there in that time. We're going to try. And do let me know down in the comments if you want to see kind of this drive time here, right? Because I've already talked about everything we're going to pass. I can sit here and ramble about the misfortune and, you know, all that driving down here, or I could drive down here and cut the drive out and just transition to being at the Fleet Star with the GMC and show it that way. Not really bothered on my end about how I do it. Or I could just drive back and be quiet during these times and kind of do a little ASMR segment. Let me know what you guys enjoy. I'm good with all of it. I do plan on recording more than one episode today, so I'm going to take the ASMR route this particular time and give myself a break from talking. So enjoy the view as we drive back. Alrighty, and we've reached the scene of the accident here in our tanker truck. And I think my first attempt at this is just going to be to tug on the trailer and see if we can set things up here. I don't really want to try and get the tanker anywhere near that slope over there. That's going to be a bit of a rough time. And this seems to have only made the situation worse. Luckily, we have the crane on the Fleet Star up there, so we will at least be able to get our cargo back, although I'm surprised we haven't run into whatever needed it yet. Seems counterintuitive, but if I push this trailer over the edge, maybe the rest of it will go with it. Of course, I might also just get myself into a state of existence here I can't escape from. That feels mighty dangerous. Yeah, everything about this feels like I'm going to have two tip trucks again. So let's not do that, because that would not work out well. On the bright side, I think we've opened up enough room to get through on this side. Let's just scope it out here if I'm going to push this trailer somewhere. There we go. Now I'm a little more confident. See if that confidence is misplaced here. Nope, that worked out. Okay. I should have no trouble riding it from this position. I guess it would help if I detach the trailer. Since we've already lost the cargo, there's not really a ton of reason not to. Come on, get upright. These trucks never seem to drag the way you want them to. Ever. What I meant to do? Come on now. We're just going to whip around here beside of it, and I think we can probably set that trailer up with the crane. Don't super love that position for the crane. That's probably better. Never set up a truck-based crane in a position where you're going to be at a disadvantage left to right on the long axis, if you can at all help it. Always try to have, you know, the nose of the truck or the tail pointed where the pulling force on the vehicle body is going to be. Save yourself a lot of headache and heartache. Okay, that does seem to be set up. So, get our cargo back on board, and then we'll winch that tongue around the right direction. I always forget which button is which for the winch. I'll try saying that 5 times faster after a couple of beers. Which button is which for the winch? And I always feel like X is the button for reeling in the crane's winch, and it is not. It is, in fact, Y. X is the slack on the cable. Now, since I still have to maneuver this trailer out of where it is probably in my best interest to at least get these both sitting flat on this trailer. That'll do, pig. Brakes help. What did I do? High center myself here? Sure what it looks like. Not that tree, I want the other tree. There we go. Now that is the most inconvenient piece of terrain I think I've ever seen. See it plain as day, just a big old hump like a rock. Had no trouble going over that the other direction. Mama said there'd be days like this. I don't think she meant in a video game, but it applied all the same. Come on, flip over. And not the way you want to. I can see what you're doing. Stop it. One nice thing about the truck-mounted crane is it does depress a lot. You can pretty well put that boom right down on the dirt. It's something the larger canes really struggle with. Why reload your cargo once when you can do it twice? Now, with the Acme Cargo Loader. Looking back on it, I'm sure part of the problem is I don't have a lot of weight on the truck itself. Nearly all of our weight is in that trailer. The crane is a good bit of weight. It's like 5 tons, but I'm not sure what the packed weight of this cargo is, so it may be significantly heavier than that. Let's try this once more with feeling. And we are just sliding all over the place here. There we go. Alright. I think we're going to call that one there. We ran a little bit long. Yeah, not terrible. I think 9 o'clock's what we've been shooting for. So join us next time. We're going to head on over to Drummond and probably try and get at the P16 and get the roads open over there, and we'll go from there. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you want to see more, if you feel like it, if you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Helps me out, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.